Hey, what's going on? My name is Kevin Deers, and this is Everflowing Stream. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel where I interview people involved in punk, metal, hardcore, a lot of times mostly musicians, people also doing content, interviews, and the creative people behind the scenes, anyone who just gets this weird underground music going. I love it. So last week I chatted with Max Cavalera, and this week I'm going to be presenting to you my interview with his brother and longtime collaborator, I don't know, Iggor Cavalera. They are out on tour right now doing Cavalera Presents Beneath the Remains and Arise tour together. I'm going to be going to see it at McMenamin's Spanish Ballroom in Tacoma. Super stoked to see this, so make sure you go check it out when it's in your town. This is two iconic records played back to back and with some other surprises and whatnot. So thank you so much for checking out my interviews. Again, if you could rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. And without any further ado, let's jump into it. My interview with Iggor Cavalera here on Everflowing Stream. Shop. I'm talking with the man all the way from the UK, right? Is that right?
Yeah, from London at the moment.
Iggor Cavalera. Just the other day, I spoke with his brother Max. They're going to be coming up. I'm letting my cat in the room. He was purring. I spoke with his brother Max. They're going to be coming to town, believe it or not, in Tacoma, and they're going to be playing Beneath the Remains and Arise for the Beneath Arise tour, June 13th at the Elks Temple at the Spanish Ballroom in Tacoma. Beautiful new venue. So man, like, I'm stoked to see you guys. So you live over there in the UK then?
Yeah, I've been living here for the last 7 years.
What brought you over there? What made you want to make that your home?
Well, actually, I do a lot of experimental music with my partner, and our management and booking agent, all that stuff, it's here in London. So it made sense to be here. And so in Brazil, it was very difficult to maintain a good communication between, all those things, and also doing gigs and studio work. So we decided to move to London. Yep.
So, you bring up the point of, collaboration and your experimental work. And, I actually just got a promo download of one of your new projects from a PR company last night. I was like, oh, cool. Another Iggor thing. And so what brings up, like, it seems like you're always working on cool new stuff. How many projects are you currently working on right now?
That's hard to say, man. There's a lot of things. And of course, with the pandemic, I try to stay busy doing a lot of studio work. Of course, some of them, it was done remotely because of course, not being able to travel, but also the fact that we were not touring, it gave me a little freedom to experiment with those projects. And so there's a lot of things on the plate, a lot of different ideas with different people, and it's like, as a musician but also as an artist, it's really cool that you get to experiment with different ideas, different ways of thinking. So you're not just stuck with one way of doing things.
Absolutely, man. Constantly, pushing yourself, constantly evolving and whatnot. And, what keeps you motivated, dude, to because you've been doing this since you were pretty much a kid, so, doing music, doing the underground music and, pushing yourself. What keeps you motivated, man?
I think it's like, being creative, it's very important. Of course, like the idea of writing new material, the idea of creating things, for me, it gives me a sensation that I'm moving forward, and that's something that, of course, it's important to cherish stuff that you have done. And I'm very proud of all the things that I accomplished as a musician and as an artist, but also I really enjoy the idea of creating things and continue to create, and those projects give me a chance of doing that.
That's awesome, man. Well, you're going to be celebrating the albums, these two iconic fan favorite albums, Beneath the Remains and Arise. So when you think back to that time period, when you think back to those albums, what memories come back to you? What do you think about when those albums come on?
I think both are very special records. And I think I heard Max saying somewhere that out of our whole body of work, they're probably the two albums that link each other the most. They're very connected. And that's also why we decided to make the two records into like this gig, where I think they are very connected in different ways. And I think, if you compare, for example, stuff that we done with Morbid Visions, from all the way to Schizophrenia, there's a big change. And then, of course, from a Rise to Chaos AD, again, there's another big leap of ideas and things. So I guess it makes sense to have those two records connected in this gig.
Absolutely, man. I'm curious about, looking back, in interviews with you and in videos of you. I grew up, first, some of the first music I got into was punk, and then I got into like hardcore bands. And you're always repping for hardcore. You got the Strife t-shirt, the Earth Crisis t-shirt. I'm curious. I have to ask, what are your favorite hardcore bands? Just a few of your favorite hardcore bands of all time.
Oh, I mean, you definitely mentioned two of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, by me wearing their shirts. But I mean, it goes all the way back to bands like Cro-Mags and Discharge here from the UK, which I'm really good friends with those guys, and we
awesome.
get to see each other and do things together. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of also newer bands who are very influenced by hardcore. There's a new Brazilian band called Deaf Kids, who releases on under the New Rot label from the guys from Neurosis.
Yeah.
So, and they're like one of my favorite hardcore things at the moment. Like this band from Brazil, they're insane. There's a lot of cool stuff from America, of course. Like bands like Full of Hell, who have a hardcore influence. Of course, they're way more noisy, and then of course, there's bands like Paranoid. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I've heard the
from
name.
Sweden. Yeah, they're amazing.
I gotta check them out.
Yeah. So there's hardcore music. I think it's in really good hands at the moment. There's a lot of younger bands and musicians carrying that flag.
That's awesome, man. Well, you obviously, you said you tried to stay sane by making, projects and working on all this music and collaboration during the pandemic. Is that what kind of kept you sane? Is that what kept you kind of, because you can't tour, you can't gig during those, year and a half or 2 years. Is that what kind of kept you going?
It is, it is. I think you mentioned a very correct thing. Making music, of course, I miss a lot the fact that playing live, it's a very important part of my life. It's almost like when I make a project, I always look at the outcome of performing this. It's never just the record. It's always like, oh, I wish I can do this with a live audience so I can exchange this energy. So I really miss the feeling of playing live during the pandemic. And then, of course, like you said, it did keep me sane. The fact that I was still going into the studio, I was still playing some drums, not as much as I wanted, because of most of my drumming I do on tour, but also being creative, it was very important.
Have you been back for any gigs yet to play yet?
Yeah, I mean, I played a few things here and there, and but this is going to be the first like long tour that I do since the whole thing, got really crazy. So this is like a proper 6 weeks tour.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward. Like I said, I'm really passionate about playing live. I really enjoy being on stage and the energy of playing drums. It's something that I missed a lot during these times.
Awesome, man. Well, going back to the question I asked about, like, I always saw you wearing these Earth Crisis and Strife t-shirts and stuff, and we all have our own collections of band shirts and stuff. So, usually I like to ask people, like, what was your first album you ever purchased? But I'm gonna, kind of change it up for you. What was the first band t-shirt you ever got? Was it hard to get metal band t-shirts down in Brazil?
Yeah, that's the thing, and of course it leads to a really cool creative way of doing things, which me and my brother, we used to hand paint our own band t-shirts because we
That's
couldn't get
cool.
it. So we would buy like a black or whatever, a white t-shirt, like blank,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would start like drawing things on it, either from like a band that we like or our
Yeah.
own band. And it's funny because I still have friends, some of them that saved some of those, like Voivod
Yeah.
t-shirts that it was like called Hellhammer, Venom, all that stuff that I used to do by hand. So
That is
if
so
I have
cool.
to go back and name probably some of my first t-shirts that I wore from bands, they were made by me.
That
I
is
didn't had a chance to a store and buy it. That came a lot later when it was proper underground.
Dude, that is super DIY, like punk style. That is awesome, man. I love to hear that. That's like the battle jackets, but a battle shirt. It's like your own DIY punk,
Yeah,
like metal
yeah, it
shirt.
was. I mean, of course,
That's awesome.
yeah. I think the battle jacket, it is a continuation of that, because the battle jacket, I think it really shows some craft to it,
Oh yeah.
where you pick exactly what bands you want to have on it, like very well curated.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you choose whatever materials you're going to put on, what kind of spikes and things like that. So I love the culture of the battle jacket. I think it keeps that same spirit as me painting my own t-shirts, alive. And Max is a huge fan of battle jacket. He has a lots of them.
Yeah,
He has a very cool friend in Phoenix that makes them for him.
that's awesome.
Which, yeah, this guy, he has a lot of like craft with like leather and things like that. So he helps Max every time he goes on tour. He brings
Yeah.
2 or 3, like battle vests with him.
What? Okay, so if someone was like, Igor, I'm gonna make you a battle jacket, and you had to wear the battle jacket, what are 4 or 5 bands that you would proudly display on your battle jacket if you had to?
Wow, that's a great question, man.
That you would
Yeah, I
proudly
mean,
rock.
yes, I mean that's something that I always talk to my wife about it, because she still can't believe that I have such a huge collection of metal, not metal, but like bands, t-shirts and stuff. And
Yeah.
even if I think to myself, if if I would, thought that when I was over my 50s, that I would still wear this kind of t-shirts, like most of my friends, or but I do, I'm really addicted to this.
Oh yeah.
So that battle vest would definitely have the discharge for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A band that it's close to where I think you're speaking from, which is Poison Idea. I believe
Oh
they're from
yeah.
Portland.
From Portland. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands of all times. Like, so Poison Idea would be definitely on that battle vest. And then maybe I'll switch things a bit more into the black metal world, with maybe some Celtic Frost or Hellhammer
Yeah.
in it, and then go back to something a little more old school. I will definitely need to have a Crass symbol on it,
Okay, yeah.
the old punk band. So I think that would be my at least the beginning of my battle vest would be with those bands.
That's awesome, man. That's a good like punk, hardcore, metal mix, dude. That's heavy shit. I
Yeah,
like
and
it.
it's of course like I'm talking mostly old school stuff,
Sure.
but also yeah, but it's I think it's a good foundation.
Absolutely, man. Okay, so we all, it's all over YouTube. You can see the iconic videos of Sepultura. You can see the iconic videos of Cavalera Conspiracy, all these amazing concerts you play. But I'm curious, what's the worst show you've ever played?
Well, that's crazy because of course those shows make the cool shows even cooler.
Okay.
But I do remember one time, not by being the worst, but probably like weird, is the first time we played with beats in a Holland called Rotterdam,
Okay.
this city. And I remember we were so excited every night of the tour. We're killing it. We're playing with Sodom, this German band,
Yeah.
and we're going crazy every night. And then this night in Rotterdam, I remember we had like they had some kind of like smoke on stage before we go on.
Sure.
And once that smoke start clearing it and we're finishing our first song, the whole crowd was just like there, just not moving at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking at Max and going like, what the hell's going on? And I think they were just, because it's Holland, maybe they were just too stoned. And they were just checking us out, like they were not
Whoa,
really up.
man.
Yeah, they were in a different brainwave. That I mean, we were like full speed, going
Yeah.
crazy, like angry and all those things that goes through like this energy when you play. And then the crowd was like if they were watching, like, I don't know, something like Sleep, like you have in the back there.
Yep.
They were just in a different trip, which is totally
Whoa.
cool.
Yeah.
But
Wasn't what you were
didn't
expecting.
it didn't really match what we were playing. So I was a bit like surprised. So I wouldn't name like a worse show, but something that I was like, I was
Sure.
bummed actually afterwards.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
was a bit bummed out. I was like, wow, these people, they really don't like us. They were just like there. They didn't move. There was no sound in between songs. It was super weird night.
The Rotterdam weed zombies that night, dude.
That's it, man. They were in a different brainwave, man.
Well, bringing it back to this time, of these albums, celebrating these albums, we're going to be going to these shows, and I got to ask from like a personal standpoint, what's it feel like, being back with your brother, doing these albums, these iconic albums that, really, and Max was talking about, I interviewed your brother and he was talking about how Beneath the Remains was the make or break album. That was the chance on Roadrunner. If you would have, crapped the bed with that album, it would have been done, So what's it feel like to be back with your brother playing these albums? It's got to be nice, man.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Max is very correct on the way he put this, where it was either if Beneath the Remains didn't do as well, we would had probably not had a second chance as a Brazilian band, especially breaking outside of Brazil. But to be playing those records, to be performing with Max, it's something that it's very special, man. It's a lot of fun, and I looked at this in a fan kind of way. I was a bit hesitant, and I went to see here in London this band Black Flag.
Oh yeah,
as perform as Flag, which is like a version of what they're doing nowadays. And I remember I came out of that show because I never had a chance to see Flag or Black Flag at that time in Brazil. And I came out of that gig completely satisfied. And I was like, man, this is cool, because I couldn't see them live for many years. And they play an amazing set list with songs that I've been in my brain for years and years. So I remember I finished that gig. I called Max and I was like, look, that's it. We got to do it. Because if people come out of this the same way I felt watching these guys who were probably in their 60s, some of them, and they were killing it. And I was really happy. I came out like with a big smile watching them play. So I hope that's the kind of energy I want to bring into this gigs with my brother.
That's a great dude. That's awesome, man. And you know, I obviously, I mean, I never got to see Black Flag, but there's that, you know, that's a great parallel. You know, I just saw yesterday on an Instagram feed, a person that I follow from the radio show. And, you know, they were saying like, I never got to see this lineup of, you know, Sepultura, playing these albums back in the day. And now is my chance to see my favorite era ever played live. And I was like, man, that exactly, dude. And so be awesome.
That's it. So it comes from a fan mentality, really, man. You know, at the end of the day, that's how I felt. It's like, look, if maybe people didn't have a chance to see when those albums came out and we tour, or even if they were not born, you know,
Yeah.
It's a cool chance to get to see with the people who wrote those songs, you know.
So being a rabid fan of the underground music, I know you're going to be spending lots of money and lots of time checking out bands at Maryland Death Fest.
Oh man, I can't freaking wait, man. There's so many cool names in that festival.
Yeah.
I think the only problem I have is that I'm not gonna be there for all of it, you know.
Yep.
I'm only there for a night because we're touring.
Yeah.
But when I look at the lineup and I'm like, dude, I wish we were there for the 3 days, man.
Dismember, Carcass.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's too many to
Deicide.
mention. Like, yeah, like of course, like Triumph of Death, you know, with Tom Warrior doing all the Hellhammer shit. So yeah, and of course, like there's a lot of the newer generation bands, you know, that I'm really looking forward. There's a lot of the crazy stuff like Infest or AC/DC with you know, getting their grind thing going. So I'm so excited for this, man.
So I am very well aware that you stay very active with checking out the underground bands, and I just got to say that is so cool.
Yeah, not as much as my brother though. My brother's a king. My brother, he takes the crown, man. He's up to date. He got his finger on the pulse of especially when we talk about extreme music, you know, from hardcore metal and other stuff. So yeah, but I do try to keep up with a lot of good music. And I think anybody who comes nowadays and say that there's not enough good music, they're just lazy.
Yep.
Because there is a lot of amazing bands at this moment, like new blood killing it, man.
Absolutely, man. Now more than ever, it's almost it's a embarrassment of riches. There's just so much, and it's all at our fingertips. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's killer though.
Absolutely. So my last question for you, dude, if you could show us, but if not, you know, you can just tell us the story. Pick a scar on your body and tell us the story of how you got the scar.
Oh man, I just got this.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
thanks for flipping me off, Igor. Jeez.
Yeah. See? So a few months back, I crushed my finger on carrying a frame. And then I broke the tip of my finger. So now my nail it's healing.
Jeez.
So it's a pain in the ass. And it's something that you don't realize until something like this happened on how much you need a certain part of your body, especially as a drummer, of course.
Oh yeah.
But you know, like just dealing with this thing it's such a pain. Like for you know, I do a lot of drawings and things, playing drums, and also just scrolling on a computer. I have to use this, so that's one of the scars, and the X-ray looked very ugly. Also, it broke the bone in half, so it wasn't fun. But it's all healed up, just the end phase.
Wow. Damn, dude. Well, you didn't have to even go that far to show me to show me, dude. Thanks for being so open with it.
Yeah, it's a fresh cut.
Yes, exactly. Again, June 13th at the Elks Temple at the Spanish Ballroom in Tacoma. Go see the Cavalera brothers playing Beneath Arise. Incredible set list. Any final words, man, for Metal Shop?
Hey, thanks for having me. And see one in the pit, man.
Right on, dude. Thank you so much, man. I'll see you at the show.
All right. Thanks, brother. I'll see you.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye.